Wrestling, another podcast about it. These are the ramblings of a wrestling fan. My mission, to talk to wrestling personalities and other fans, to seek out new promotions and podcasts, to talk about wrestling like a lot of people before me. Today I am here with Memphis Wrestling's owner, host, extraordinaire, former two-time NWA Southern Junior Heavyweight Champion, the one and only Dustin Starr. Dustin, thank you very much for joining me today, and how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, and man, you busted out the old school on me with the two-time former Southern Junior Heavyweight Champion or whatever. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
I tried to do a little bit of research.
Oh my gosh, sometimes I look back at something that somebody will send me a link and it'll say, wow, you did this, this, and this. I didn't even think of it at the time. But anyway, yeah, thanks for having me on here, man. First and foremost, you've been a supporter of any kind of championship wrestling that's been on our YouTube program since day one. And I know we started about 4 years ago, and that was 100 episodes or 99 of the championship wrestling, and then it flipped to Memphis Wrestling, and now we've got championship wrestling presented by Car Shield, Memphis Wrestling, and then coming next week, or this week actually, on April, I think we're going to drop it on Sunday the 9th. It'll be Derby City Wrestling, and you were there from the very beginning. And also, I'll tell you, sometimes I'll get that tweet that says there's something wrong with the upload. It's happened only a couple of times, but the heads up, man, and then boom, we're right on it. So yeah. Shout out to you. Thank you for that, man.
I like I was telling you before we started, Memphis Wrestling is what I grew up with. I grew up in Evansville, so that was what I grew up with, and that's I still to this day, you know, as soon as I found out that you guys were going to be going again, I've got to get in on this. I've got to start watching again, you know. So speaking of that,
that's what I grew up watching, obviously, you know.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like I said, I did some of my research, and you were born and raised in Memphis. So that growing up there, what was it like to be able to experience that firsthand every week? You know,
it was great. I still think that was some of the best wrestling that we've had. It just was. The stories were great. If you go back, it wasn't all about the bodies and the muscles and stuff. It was about talking trash and kicking ass, man. That's what it was about. They were punching and kicking. They were fighting. Sometimes somebody would get hit with a car in the parking lot. But it all built up to something, and the stories always continued. And I think what we're trying to do is take that even the next step forward. And what I mean is we have people that work on our crew that go to the University of Memphis. We do fundraisers for some of the wrestlers' ball teams that you know, they support them, and they will continue to support them in their careers. Stuff that I didn't have because the business was different, and you know, not everybody's as fortunate as others. But what we're doing is we're thinking ahead 5 years from now instead of just right now. And I have a feeling that USWA and CWA and the old school Memphis used to think of that as well. And so the longer we go, I think the better that it's going to get. But growing up, seeing that stuff was so cool. And watching some of the highlights now, like PG-13, I was watching a highlight video, a music video, you know, and there I was sitting front row. And Simon, one of my best buds, he's like, oh, look, there you are. You know, so it's kind of cool. And especially going back and watching some of the Power Pro wrestling, which is where I was kind of halfway involved in, and that's where we were training and all that kind of stuff. And you could see us in the audience or see our good friends that, you know, some of them are with us now, and some of them are not. But growing up and seeing all that stuff is really cool, and that's really the reason why we're doing what we're doing now at Memphis Wrestling.
Yeah, you talk about the storytelling that was involved with Memphis, from the car hit and runs to, you know, just a variety of different scenarios that would just randomly pop up. Andy Kaufman, you know, that's a part of Memphis history.
Perfect example.
You know, and that that helped catapult Memphis wrestling to the worldwide stage in a lot of ways. And what him and King were able to put together, was phenomenal. And I was hooked. I was born in 77. So I was coming of age and aware and realizing that this guy's on TV. What's he doing in a wrestling ring? And I love that. And you guys have carried that torch on with the storyline that's playing out now between Kay Toomer and Maurice the Strong and Barnabas the Leader, and the story that you guys had with Mike Anthony and the gun show Brett Michaels. That is stuff that got me hooked into it. I like that storytelling, and it's great to tell a story in the ring, but if you can find a way to tell the story outside as well, there's magic in that, and you guys are capturing that again, and I love that.
I appreciate it. It's trying to link all the stories and all the episodes together. So you might not see Uncle Mikey and Main Event Bradley with Uncle Phil every single week, but you're going to see that one week, and then you're going to see a highlight or something the next week, and then it's going to pick right back up the next week. So the idea is just to link everything together and tell multiple stories and rotate it in a way to where you have different guys in the main event. And I know Gun Show, Mike Anthony, Kay Toomer, and those guys, they're probably going to own the main events, and rightfully so. But every now and then you're going to get an Uncle Mikey and Brad, or gosh, who was in the main event a couple of weeks ago? And we were like, whoa, I don't have the notes in front of me, but my point is it seems like that multiple people could be the Memphis Heritage Champion.
Yeah.
Multiple people could be the main event. So it's like when you put these guys against each other, you don't know what's going to happen. And to me, that's good wrestling and good storytelling,
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I love about it, because like you said, you don't know. At any time, Main Event Bradley could pop in there. Kid Wrestling could pop up in the event.
Yeah.
And the way that you book them and build that story, it works. If Kid Wrestling was to pop up in the main event, there was a month or better that you guys built that story up and made it to where the crowd got behind him and felt that, yes, Kid Wrestling definitely needs to be in the main event. He has to be doing that.
Like Shark Boy.
Yeah.
When Shark Boy came, he helped elevate multiple characters, and Kid Wrestling was one of them. I will say that this set of tapings coming up, the spring break, in my opinion, so far, are the best episodes yet.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm so excited. I will not ask for any spoilers. Man. I am so excited.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. And expanding on that with what you've done with Kay Toomer, who that man, oh my good Lord, he is a force to be reckoned with. I feel sorry for any individual that steps on the wrong side of that man and gets on his bad side. And what you have been able to do with him has been phenomenal. Tell me a little bit about that.
I did not know who Kay Toomer was at the beginning of Memphis Wrestling, and I had a couple of people telling me about Kay Toomer, and he even came to the shows, and that's what you do in wrestling is you show up. And so after showing up a couple of times, I'm like, man, I got to give this guy an opportunity, and he knocked it out of the park. And when King Cobra comes to you and says, hey, that guy needs to be on the show, after he sees him work, there's no questions. He's on the show. And so from there, it was just, man, you got to think, what do you do with a 387-pound monster? And then he's a bad guy, but then he's so awesome that the people start cheering him. And the whole show enough thing, when he was pitching the idea to me, I kind of felt like I owed it to him. Hey brother, you got promo time. If you think that's what you need to get in, then go right ahead. I did not see the forest for the trees, I guess, because I didn't realize that all the fans were going to chant "show enough." So, I mean, just by giving him a little bit of creative freedom and putting him on the mic and showing what he's got, man, that's where some of those creative juices come out. And not everything is scripted to a T or anything like that. For instance, the show enough thing might not have happened had we sat down and, like I didn't see it and then bam, it hit.
Yeah.
So stuff like that is always good and it helps. But, you got a big bad dude and then you got the gun show.
Yeah.
You got Maurice the Strong. You've got Aaron Roberts lurking somewhere out there. Where's Mike Anthony? Is he coming back? I mean, it's so top heavy right now.
Yeah. There's so many factors, and that's what makes it exciting, and that's what keeps me tuning in every week, because you leave so many little breadcrumbs, laying around, and it's just, again, great storytelling, and it just adds to the product so much. Now, going back to your 2-time Southern Junior Heavyweight Championship, I was able to find on Cage Match, and correct me if this is wrong, but your first match was listed, you were paired up with Derek the King and Flex, and you defeated Fabulous Rocker, Kryptonite, and Randall Collins in Memphis Championship Wrestling.
Oh, man. Okay, so that was Memphis Championship Wrestling after Terry Golden. So that I remember that was a house show, and I don't think anybody was there. That's all I remember about that event. Nobody was there. I remember this.
Oh, wow. But you put on a show, though.
Oh, absolutely. So I think what happens is like MCW was Memphis Championship Wrestling, and it was on television and all that good stuff. But then I think some of the assets were sold, like the ring and a couple of banners or something were sold. And so then they continued to kind of run under that banner. Very similar to the NWA, like I was NWA Mid-South champion or something, Mid-South Junior champion or something. But that was not the Billy Corgan NWA. That was not the golden years of NWA. That was man, I don't know, somebody in the Mid-South Dyersburg area that ran under the NWA umbrella. So I'm not trying to like discount my accomplishments or anything, but they're not exactly what they appear, honestly. Now, when I say I won the Mr. Tennessee back-to-back 2 years in a row, that's legit. I won the men's physique Mr. Tennessee overall in 2012 and 2013. And to my knowledge, the only person to ever do it back-to-back. And so that's legit. And I think for years when I was wrestling, and Maria used to say that, they thought I was just being a heel. You know what I mean? That was part of my heel accolades. But that was a shoot. But yeah, man, you're doing some research over there on me, huh? What else did you find?
Let's see. I was scribbling, so my notes horrible.
Do I have a wiki page yet?
I was not able to find the wiki page. You do have a wiki fandom page.
Really? Wow. All right.
Yes.
I don't know what that means, but
the information that gave me was that you were born in Memphis, and that you were the owner and host of Championship Wrestling in Memphis. So, but then I did a little bit more digging. You were also the MC for the Memphis Grizzlies and Redbirds.
Yes, I'm currently there. So this is my 8th season with the Grizzlies, and we're about to hit the playoffs. So yeah, I'm at every home game, and then the developmental team, the G League team for the Memphis or the Memphis Grizzlies or the Memphis Hustle. So I do PA there, and then which automatically makes me the backup PA at the Grizzlies, which I always say I can't wait to do that at the Grizzlies, but I don't want to do it because my buddy Marcus is sick or something crazy like that. Marcus is one of the best voices out there. But then also the Redbird season, my first game is going to be next Saturday. Actually, hold on, I take that back. My first game will be this Saturday at AutoZone Park. And it would be opening day tomorrow, but I have a Grizzlies game at the same time. So right now is busier than ever for me. because you have Memphis Wrestling that goes all the time. There's no season to it, right? Every single week we have to have a brand new episode. But then basketball overlaps because the Grizzlies make the playoffs. And then baseball season's right here going, hey, I'm about to start. And then they mesh together. And then I usually either have a baseball or basketball game every single day along with wrestling, or I'll miss a baseball game because of basketball and they're at the same time or whatever. So right now is crazy for us.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now speaking of moving forward, and we touched on this earlier. You said that you're looking 5 years out for Memphis. And where do you envision Memphis in 5 years?
We will be in a different facility. We'll have a different Wrestlecenter before 5 years. So that's going to happen. I think once that happens, we'll have more capabilities of doing other stuff. But expanding the audience, I can't say too much. I mean, we do have some stuff in the works and everything. So, but yeah, it's just growing the business. And whereas a lot of that involves wrestling, a lot of it does not involve wrestling. It involves business portions of that. So in 5 years, there's no telling whether the kind of opportunities will pop up for us. But here at the Wrestlecenter, we have 6,000 square feet. It's great. I just signed a 3-year lease on that. So I know that we'll be here at least 3 more years. I would imagine in 2, we'll start looking and really making serious decisions about, where we're going to be moving forward. And I know that we want to stay in the Memphis area. And then once we're there, man, and we're not moving the Wrestlecenter, in those years down. And this is not happening soon. So anybody that's listening to this is not happening soon. But whenever it does happen, it's not that we want to expand so we can include more fans. It's that we want to expand so we can do more business. So if we have a training bay where we have our training rings, multiple rings, also workout equipment, cardio equipment, just kind of expanding the training portion of it, because our seminars are really, really good. We had a WWE scout, Gabe Sapolsky came in, also coming up in the next couple of weeks. Jerry Lynn's coming. He's an AEW coach. And so being able to be in front of those guys and for them to know your name, that's step one in being able to get developed as far as a talent. They have to know who you are. And so by developing, and making that portion of our business better, then of course we'd have our TV bay. Now, if we have our television bay, we can make that even more nicer than what it currently is, just because we won't have people in and out of it except for just once or twice a month. Right now, we're training where we do TV. So, there's a lot more wear and tear and all that kind of stuff. But, where we are is cool. But moving forward, in order to grow the business, we're going to have to get a different facility.
Yeah. Now, and speaking of Jerry Lynn's coming in, and you've had Tommy Dreamer, you've had Shane Douglas. You guys amaze me at the amount of talent that you are able to bring in from the outside. You have so many relationships with wrestlers and everything. You've had Chavo. Lindsay just came in this past Sunday. Like I said, Shane Douglas, we got Jerry Lynn coming up. How important is that to bringing in those known veterans and everything, and having them speak to the new up and coming talent, and imparting that knowledge?
Oh, it's really, first of all, it's super cool. I mean, we're all doing this because we're fans. And Bushwhacker Luke, oh my gosh, it was so much fun. It was so fun. One of my favorite episodes ever. What Shane Douglas did for us by throwing that championship belt down and handing it over to the boss. I mean, just fantastic stuff. And I think some of that stuff wasn't really done for my generation of wrestler here in Memphis, just because of so many backstage politics or whatever the case may be. But here we're giving those opportunities early on because, like I say, we're building for that future in 5 years from now or whatever. It's just been a blast doing it. It's so much fun. I don't even remember what your original question was because I got off on a tangent. What was the question? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just asking how important is it to have those veterans come in and impart that knowledge
It
to the
is.
coming talent.
I mean, we are, I would say 98, 97% local Memphis. Everything
Yeah,
from the music that you hear on our program to the graphics that are created, anything and everything, even our concession stand, if it's something, we'll have local homemade cookies, Big Swole will cook barbecue, whatever the case may be, we always try to make it 100% local. That's what's very important to us. And, being able to do it here and then just continue to do it. I love it.
I love what you guys are doing down there, Dustin. I thank you for taking some time out of your day to speak with me, and I look forward to seeing what Memphis does in the next 5 days, the next 5 weeks, the next five
I
months,
appreciate
the
it.
next 500 years.
And
You
that's
know,
that's what that's what some of those veterans that you're talking about help us do. I think the Bushwhacker Luke has been seen almost 200,000 times on Facebook alone. That's
yeah,
not even counting YouTube. Guys like Teddy Long, God, over 150,000 views on Facebook, and then the YouTube numbers are very, very large too. And we're just always shocked because we're just in Memphis. There was never a thing where we wanted to travel outside of the Memphis area. What you grew up watching and what I grew up watching was Memphis wrestling, and that's what we wanted to be. And having those legends come in like that, you never knew who you were going to get. You mentioned Andy Kaufman, you had Hulk Hogan, The Rock, all these guys, and then also you had superstars come in. Before those guys before they were stars, but Ric Flair would come in and defend the world title. We've
yeah.
had Nick Aldis, we've had Jonathan Gresham, champions from all over the place. So that's the cool thing about bringing those veterans in, and then of course working with your talent and teaching them. But that's it. Is who's going to be next? So
Yeah.
stay tuned. We've got an announcement coming up, I believe, by the end of this week regarding our May taping. And like I said, I can't even tell you how much fun it is growing up being a Memphis wrestling fan and then being able to do this. And what I feel is the highest level that we've had in Memphis. And it's strictly because back in the day they didn't have all the social networking, and if you
Yeah.
didn't live in the area you didn't get to see it, and they didn't have graphics and instant replays and all that kind of stuff. So we feel like we're doing the best we can and trying to soup it up, kind of like old school Memphis wrestling, but souped up a little bit. But thanks for
There
having
you
me
go.
on and talking. I could talk Memphis wrestling all day.
Oh, not a problem at all. Speaking of the socials, where can everyone find you on social media?
Oh man, I would say go to championshipwrestlingmemphis.com. You can get it all there. YouTube.com/at Memphis Wrestling. That's the easiest way to go and find all the episodes. And if you want a Memphis Wrestling t-shirt, just go to championshipdrip.com. And we've got some really cool stuff coming up. We've got some big time wrestling stars coming up. Raw's coming to town in August. That means more opportunity for our guys and gals. And that also means another pre-party. So anytime wrestling is banging in Memphis, you know that we're going to be a part of it somewhere. So get it all at
Excellent.
championshipwrestlingmemphis.com.
I love to hear it. Well, Dustin, again, I thank you very much for taking a moment out of your day, and you have a great day, sir.
Thank you, Jeremy. Oh, yeah.
Excellent.